Welcome to the Writer Reads Flash Fiction. This is episode 44. Funny things happen when you fall behind and you've been doing something for a really long time. You get jaded, your creativity feels a bit jammed and you get uninspired. And this piece was written after I'd spent a morning of writing poems and I had a bunch of flash fiction to get to. So I wanted to try something when I wrote this to avoid the ruts I'd fallen into and just to see what came out. So I turned to writingexercises.co.uk and I decided to try some of their random generators. And the first one that generated was a random first line of, he had never seen so many people in one place. So I took a variation of that and I ran with it and I just started writing to see what came out. This is called Homecoming. Carlyle had never seen so many homeless people in one place, all desperate, all hungry, all showing signs of stress and tension. He looked them over. Somewhere amongst them was the family he sought. Hunters, predators forced to flee with the rest. Time bombs waiting to happen unless he found them first. He spotted Amelia moving swift and silent through the crowd. She was 6, dark-haired, hazel-eyed, with skin the colour of milk coffee. Watching her, Carlyle noted the veneer of confidence that covered her movements as she slid through the crowd, coming to the edge before slipping away again and again and again, as though she was looking for something. He thought he'd lost her, that she'd moved further up the line. He thought she was looking for a way past the security lines, but she kept appearing and disappearing, her small brow furrowed with concentration, her little nose wrinkling as though scenting for one smell in particular. Hunter. Carlyle wondered where her parents were. He returned to scanning the crowd, looking for Hunter and Marie, trying to spot Charlie, but having trouble imagining him as more than the gangly 12-year-old he'd met 4 years before. When Amelia slipped her small hand into his palm and tugged, he almost shouted in surprise, muffling his exclamation to a cough that drew suspicious glares until he took a sip of water from the canteen at his belt. When he was sure no one was paying them more attention than before, Carlyle let himself be guided back to an alcoved shop front, then knelt down to look Amelia in the eye. For a long moment she stood there, then she raised her hands to his face, placing a palm on each cheek, and slowly her eyes filled with tears. "Hey," Carlyle said, wrapping her carefully in his arms. "Hey, Emmy, what's up? Will you adopt us? But what about your mum and dad?" Amelia gave a huge hiccuping sob and twined her hands around his neck, burying her face in his shoulder. It was a different voice that answered him. "How do you think these people got out alive?" Carlyle bowed his head, resting his face on Amelia's hair. She smelt of dirt and days of travel, but she also smelt of pack. Carlyle gave himself a moment to haul his emotions under control. "Truth be told," he said, "I had wondered. We don't know if they made it." Charlie's voice was rough. When Carlyle looked up, the 16-year-old waved a hand helplessly in the air. They told me I had to." He gestured towards his sister. "You had to get Amy out," Carlyle finished. "Come on then, let's get the two of you processed. I've got room for you until we know for sure." "And if you're it?" Charlie didn't admit the possibility his parents were dead. Wouldn't, until they all saw the bodies. "Then I'll do my best to raise you as they would have wanted." Amy's hands wound tighter around his throat, and Carlyle straightened, lifting her onto his hip and winding a hand around Charlie's shoulders. It wasn't how he had envisioned his family coming home, but it was a start. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed today's reading, please hit like. If you want to see more, please hit subscribe, and I'll check you later. Take care out there.